What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Open Great League submitted to the channel by M4KidK, who's running the full Mankey evolution line. Now this is probably going to be my final shoutcast of the season, so I'll say a big thank you to everyone that submitted spicy battles throughout the season, and as usual I will be making a few compilation videos featuring my craziest battles of the season, the best viewer submitted battles of the season, and I might even make a third video featuring some of my best battles from my recent live streams, as I've had some insane battles recently, so let me know if you do want to see that. But speaking of my live streams, I want to give a thank you to MGLJSP, Blunder Policy, X Boston and DC for their generous donations in my recent live streams, and a huge thank you to Caleb Hitch, who, if you have joined any of my recent streams, you'll know this viewer has donated more in a single stream than I typically earn across an entire week and sometimes 2 weeks on YouTube, so I am incredibly grateful for his support. And if you are watching this video, feel free to drop your friend code in the comments, because I have now made space for you on my friends list. But I do want to clarify one thing going forward: I'm not intending to charge people to be on my friends list. I think that's just crazy. I'm just trying to think of ways to give back to this man who has given so much to me. But anyways, with that being said, let's get into the question of the day. What is your favorite full evolution line in Pokemon Go? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so heading into the first battle, leading Annihilate into Shadow Magnezone, so very good lead matchup and very good for the entire team, but unfortunately Azumarill is going to be core breaking the entire team, as we are running triple fighting. Of course, we're going to go for a Night Slash here. We did build up to the Shadow Ball, and we actually grabbed a shield there from the opponent, which is very nice. We're now definitely going to respect the damage here. The opponent full sends a Play Rough, and at this point we can very comfortably outpace them. This time we will fire off the Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball is going to be no-shielded by the Azu. At this point we are not going to commit both shields here. The opponent is going to go for a Play Rough, taking out the Annihilate, and we can now come in with our Primeape, and we can outpace them to a charge move, but we're actually going to no-shield here. The opponent just settles for an Ice Beam. Absolutely okay. We can now go for a full counter farm down. The opponent doesn't allow that. Instead, they swap back into the Shadow Magnezone, and we can come in with our Mankey. Now, we are going to shield the Mirror Shot. Unfortunately, Mirror Shot not going to do that much damage there, but we win CMP with a Mankey up against a Shadow Magnezone, taking out the Magnezone, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. The opponent's going to come in with a Gligar, so we can go straight for a Brick Break. Brick Break, of course, going to debuff their defense. It does not do much damage. We've got back-to-back Ice Punches loaded, though, so it just depends. Can the opponent swap out, catch the move? It doesn't look like it, as we send the second Ice Punch straight away. Ice Punch easily takes them out there. We can counter, farm down the Azu, and we're able to take that game. So heading into the next battle, we see Skarmory in the lead, so this is fine with us. We're actually going to swap straight away, just because when we're seeing a neutral lead, we kind of want to swap out just in case the opponent has something that's going to be our fighting types in the back, but is going to struggle a little bit more up against Annihilate. So we swap into our Primeape, the opponent swaps into Lantern, and we do actually make it to a second Night Slash here, although the opponent can just comfortably shield this, go for the farm down, and they do regain switch advantage, but that's okay. Doesn't really make too much of a difference here. We're going to come in with the Annihilate, and we are going to no shield once again, of course, knowing that Sky Attack or the Brave Bird are going to do a lot more damage than a Surf from a Lantern, and let's see what the opponent wants to do here. The opponent's going to come in with their Skarmory, and we are going to go straight for the Shadow Ball this time around. They are at a shield disadvantage, so they let the Shadow Ball go through, and we swap into Mankey. The opponent swaps at the same time, coming in to a Shadow for Alligator. We're going straight for Cross Chop, and Cross Chop actually does some sizable damage in this matchup. The opponent is going to farm two near back-to-back moves, but they're not quite there yet, so we can shield up the Hydro Cannon, go for the Karate Chop farm down, come out with a Cross Chop loaded. We're throwing it straight away, and Cross Chop is going to be no-shielded. It nearly takes out the Skarmory, and we're able to Karate Chop, farm them down with our Mankey, and take that game. So going into the next battle, we see Venusaur in the lead, so not ideal for us, but it's not the worst matchup ever. We're going to farm to a potential Ice Punch. We don't have it, but we might as well bait it. Night Slash is going to be no-shielded by the opponent, though. We're now going to swap into Primeape, and Primeape does have Ice Punch, but let's see what the opponent wants to do. They're going to bank some energy, come in with a Poliwrath, and this is not ideal, because unfortunately, we're not running close combat. We go for Night Slash. The opponent is going to no-shield, but we make it to a second Night Slash before they can throw a charge move, and Night Slash, number 2, also going to be no shielded, but we've put them into range where we can probably come in with the Annihilate and go for a full counter farm down. So of course, gonna wait out the switch clock here, come in with the Annihilate, and we get that full farm down. we're going to come out with another Night Slash loaded. So they come in with the Venusaur, we go for it straight away, and again, they know shield, they know they can live that, and they can make it to another charge move. At this point, gonna let the Annihilate go down. We come in with our Mankey, we get the Karate Chop farm down, and they've got a Lantern in the back. So this might still be doable here if we can land 2 Brick Breaks and successfully get both shield, or sorry, not land them, get both shields with Brick Breaks, as of course, that is going to drop the defense of the opponent there, and maybe by the time we make it to the 3rd charge move, Cross Chop will be enough to KO, but it's going to be very close. You can see we are barely able to get there in time. Does this KO? Double debuffed. Cross Chop barely doesn't take out the Lantern. That's so unfortunate, but we do end up losing that game. We're going into the next match. We see Lantern in the lead this time around. So once again, neutral lead, gonna say swap into our Primate, and we actually bait out a Trevenant, which is kind of better for us because Annihilate, yes, we are a Ghost type. We can hit them for a Shadow Ball with super effective damage, but it's like we're also taking super effective damage from the Shadow Claws, from the Trevenant. So this is actually pretty good to see here. We're also putting them into range where we can just farm them down. If the opponent does shield, we get a boost there, but can't really afford to shield this. So gonna let it go through. C-Bomb will be taking us out, but like I said, we can go for the full counter farm down. The opponent's going to come back in with the Lantern. We're going to farm up to the Shadow Ball and then bait with a Night Slash. So always farming to that Shadow Ball before throwing a bait there, which is the correct play. But this time we're not, just because we want to throw a Night Slash before the opponent throws their energy. But that's going to allow the opponent to overfarm massively in this matchup. So at this point, once again, relying on our Mankey in the back. Hopefully we can sweep this time around. We are definitely going to shield this Mankey. Incredibly glassy. It only reaches 1300 CP. Well, just barely, and there is the perfect Pokemon for us to beat in the back. They've got a Alolan Sandslash, who built 2 back-to-back Cross Chops, taking out the Sandslash, accidentally over-farming there, but it doesn't really matter. Cross Chop takes out the Lantern as well, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next match, we see Annihilate into an Altaria. So of course, if we were running Ice Punch, this would be pretty good, but once again, we're not. So we actually swap into our only Pokemon with coverage for flying types, which is a bit strange here. We do grab a shield there, but maybe we could have just stayed in with the Annihilate and gone for a bait there, or just full set the Shadow Ball. I don't know. Altaria can live an Ice Punch though from Annihilate, so maybe they would have just no-shielded anyways. I'm not really sure, but either way, we grab both shields from the opponent with our Primeape. But at this point, we're probably going to have to come back in with our Annihilate here. They do have quite a significant energy advantage, as they did fully Dragon Breath farm us down. But we're definitely going to have to shield this up here. The opponent goes for the Sky Attack. Hopefully, we can make it to a Shadow Ball. I don't think Night Slash will get the KO from this range, so we full send the Shadow Ball, taking out the Altaria. But the opponent's got a second Flying type in the back. This time, it's Pidgeot. We're going to go for a Night Slash here, throwing what could have been on a CMP tie here. Night Slash is actually going to get a boost, and we make it to a second Night Slash, and with the boost, this will now be enough damage to take out the Pidgeot. We get another boost, which is unfortunate because we have to clear the boost anyways. We come in with our Mankey, and unfortunately, Mankey is probably not going to live an Earthquake here, so unless the opponent randomly goes for a Rock Slide, Earthquake will be taking out the Mankey, and unfortunately, they can Mudshot, farm down our Annihilate to take that game. But into the next battle, we see Shadow Dragonette in the lead. So once again, a neutral matchup. So we're going to swap into our Primeape, go for the Night Slash. We do just barely outpace them there, since one turn is required to swap at the start of a game. But we do make it to that Night Slash first. At this point, we're going to shield here, and let's see what the opponent wants to do. They go for a Body Slam. We are going to go for a Night Slash, throwing straight away once again. And Night Slash will be grabbing the final shield from the Shadow Dragonair. Typically, people with Shadow Dragonair in the lead like to play for switch advantage, as they have 2 very good Pokemon that cover each other's weaknesses in the back. They're going to come in with a Licky Tongue. We come in with the Mankey, and at this point, we're probably going to have to shield a Body Slam, to be honest. And the opponent goes for that Body Slam here. We're not going to farm 2 near back-to-back charge moves. Cross Chop will be coming through. Cross Chop does big damage to the Licky Tongue. Unfortunately, they just barely outpace us by 1 turn to the Body Slam. We barely hang on though, so we can now go for a Cross Chop. And Cross Chop, of course, are going to be taking... Actually, no, they swap into Greedent, and that works out in our favor here, but we have to farm 2 back-to-back charge moves. At this point, can we live this? The opponent is running Trailblaze. We barely hang on. We make it to back-to-back Night Slashes. Night Slash will be taking out the Greedent, and we're able to get off the second Night Slash before the Lick takes us out there. Night Slash takes out the Licky Tongue, and we're able to take that game. Into next game, an amazing lead matchup for us, but a very bad safe swap for us. As the opponent leads with Vigoroth, they safe swap into Sableye, and we're going to come in with our Primate because, of course, we do take neutral damage from the Shadow Claws. The opponent has a full Sender Return to take us out. They go for Foul Play, that is resisted damage, but it puts us into range where if they really want to, they can fight for Switch, and they are going to do exactly that. But I guess it doesn't really matter too much for us, as we do have two Pokemon that can still very much be a Vigoroth, but Annihilate does completely wall it, so would have been much more comfortable if we did fight for Switch there. But either way, we can go for a Night Slash. Night Slash is going to take out the Sableye, and they've got a Gligar in the back, so this is very tricky. We're going to farm to a potential Ice Punch here, and also throwing on the CMP tie. We grab the shield from the opponent, but this still isn't looking too good for us. We're definitely going to shield this up here as they go for an Aerial Ace, and again here we are going to throw straight away, throwing on the CMP tie. Night Slash not going to do too much damage here. Hopefully it puts them into range where we can take them out with the Mankey, but it's not looking too promising for us. Aerial Ace gets the KO, and once again gonna throw straight away, but the opponent this time makes a nice catch onto Vigoroth. Cross Chop does some decent damage there, but not enough damage to get the KO or put them into farm down range, and unfortunately this Vigoroth can now go for a Body Slam. We actually just stopped the recording early there. We realized it was game over. But into the next battle, we're gonna see a very nice lead once again, leading into a Shadow Alolan Sandslash. But once again, we don't really have an answer to their safe swap, so we go up to the Shadow Ball, bait with a Night Slash. We're now going to call a bait, and the opponent does bait there, which is very nice. We throw the Shadow Ball this time around, but unfortunately we do lose CMP. Night Slash is going to be baiting once again. At this point we can live a Night Slash, but we're going to play it safe here, and we're going to go and full send the Shadow Ball, and this time, once again, the opponent is going to have to go for a Shadow Ball to take us out, but they go for Night Slash here. They get the boost, which doesn't really make a difference there. One boosted counter makes no difference, but Shadow Ball will be taking them out. They come in with a Mantine, and unfortunately, we are not in a good position. We only make it to a Night Slash here. Night Slash, not going to do much damage whatsoever. We're going to come in with our Primate. Honestly, we're probably just going to barely live an Aerial Ace here, so Aerial Ace will be coming through. We do tank it. We're just going to fire off a Night Slash straight away, but unfortunately they can comfortably live this, and unless the opponent randomly swaps out here, yep, Aerial Ace definitely going to be enough damage to take out a Mankey. Mankey has no bulk whatsoever. They can wing attack, farm us down, and despite having another very good lead matchup for us, when the opponent has a Core Breaker like a Mantine, then it's going to be very difficult to win. But either way, next battle we see Sableye in the lead this time around. Get a swap into our Primate, go for that Night Slash straight away. We're also going to no shield, and the opponent is once again going to go for a bait, and that will allow us to make it to a Night Slash, but the opponent swaps into Registeel. Now, we didn't throw straight away. The opponent might think we're running close combat, so they end up shielding, which is very nice for us. We can now just fire off another Night Slash. Night Slash, not going to do an awful lot of damage here, but it doesn't really matter. We grabbed a shield advantage, which is very nice, and as well, they overfarm there, and that probably means they're only making it to one charge reef. We let the Zap Cannon go through, they debuff our attack, but we still get the farm down there, and now they come in with an Umbreon, which is unfortunate because we just sent a Shadow Ball. But either way, we can swap into our Mankey, and we should be looking pretty good here. Now, we have seen a recent resurgence in the Umbreons that are using Psychic, and this one is using Psychic. I think it was due to Rise to the Occasion running it in a regional. I'm not really sure. I don't really follow the regional and like international championship scene or not an awful lot, so I might be wrong there. Maybe someone else just made a video on Psychic Umbreon. I know Yonkers has recently, but I don't know if it was inspired by the Rise to the Occasion showcase with the Umbreon there. But either way, doesn't really matter. We can go for a cross shot, dealing big damage to the Umbreon, and at this point we could just let this go down, but it is so we want to showcase Mankey as much as possible, so we Karate Chop, farm down the Umbreon, and we're able to take that game. Into next game, not a great lead matchup for us, and once again probably just going to swap into our Primate, and we do exactly that. We need to save Annihilate just in case we need it in the end game, because of course Primeape and Mankey, whilst yes, Primeape does have some nice coverage with Night Slash and Ice Punch, it's still not the best Pokemon here, and Mankey has no coverage whatsoever, so the opponent goes for a Feather Dance. They then swap into Poliwrath, and this is really unfortunate. I mean, even if we were running close combat with a double debuff, they're definitely not going to shield, but especially since it's just a Night Slash, that does very little damage. But now, since we have preserved our Annihilate, we are resisting, well, double resisting the counter damage, which is good news for us. A Scald, if they throw it, would do big damage, but the opponent baits with an Icy Wind. We're going to overfarm massively, throwing on the CMP tie, and a Shadow Ball will of course be enough damage to take out the Poliwrath. Are they going to come back in with the Pidgeot? Let's find out. They do come in with the Pidgeot. We have been debuffed to our attack, but we make it to the Night Slash. Looks like a CMP tie as well, which is very nice. Unfortunately, Night Slash does not get the KO. We're going to no shield. We barely live that. We swap straight away, and the opponent comes in with a Quagsire. Now, we're going straight for the Cross Chop here. Cross Chop not going to do too much damage, but it grabs that final shield, so possibly could have baited with a Brick Break, but it is slightly more energy there. So let's see. We are going to shield the Mud Bomb. Honestly, we're not going to tank a Mud Bomb particularly comfortably. So let's see how much damage it does. We do actually hang on there, and we're able to make it to back-to-back cross shots, but it just depends. Do we live the mud shot damage? And the answer is no, unfortunately not. They're able to mud shot, farm down the Annihilate, and we do end up losing that game. But into the next battle, amazing lead matchup for us. The opponent's going to swap into Serperior, and typically I'm saying that yes, we should be farming to a potential Ice Punch to throw first, but also because they swap out, they're one turn behind, so we might have just been wanting to make sure they stayed one turn behind by throwing the Charge Move there. Now, of course, we don't need to swap out of this matchup because they have a Bastiodon in the lead. Our entire team does incredibly well up against Bastiodon, but we do eventually swap. We bank a lot of energy on the Annihilate, then swap into our Primeape. They're not going to come in with the Bastiodon, so we're going to find out that their third and final Pokemon is going to be Shadow Victory Bell. We make it to back-to-back Night Slashes. I'm not certain if we're going to live one more Razor Leaf, so instead we just throw the Night Slash straight away. Night Slash might grab a shield anyways. It does grab that final shield. We come in with Annihilate. We were just one away from the Shadow Ball. The opponent doesn't throw. They don't try and make a catch. Shadow Ball easily takes them out. We now come in with our Mankey, and the opponent just concedes the match there. So going into the next battle, Annihilate into Shadow Geiger. Once again, not ideal for us in the slightest. We might stay in and fake like we've got Ice Punch, but no, actually just going to go straight for a Night Slash here. And Night Slash is going to grab a shield anyways, and we get the boost, which is very good because we might actually grab both shields from the opponent just by going straight Night Slash, which would be very nice. We're now going to go for Night Slash number 2. Night Slash is actually going to be no shielded this time around, so that's fine. At this point, we're just going to let the Annihilate go down. We have put them into range where we can counter farm them down. Possibly could have even gone for a Karate Chop farm down there, but it would have been slightly riskier. Instead, we come in with the Primeape, and unfortunately, they are going to wall our energy. This is a matchup where I would have liked to see us at least farm to a potential close combat there, but it doesn't really matter. I think this is going to be game over as they come in with a Charge Bug. We go for the Night Slash. Night Slash not doing much damage. We're going to make as much energy as possible here, so that way, if we somehow get the Charge Bug into one counter farm down range, we can at least get that counter through before the Volt Switch registers, but that is very wishful thinking. I don't think it's going to work out that way for us. Instead, going to go for a Cross Chop. Cross Chop is going to be resisted, doesn't do much damage. They get the full farm down, and they can just farm down our Primeape to take that game. But into the next battle, Annihilate into Shadow Gallade, so not ideal for us because they can very comfortably outpace us to a Leaf Blade, but we do live this, so we're going to no-shield the first one. They go for the Leaf Blade, and we're just going to settle for a Night Slash this time around, typically going up to the Shadow Ball and then throwing a Night Slash, but honestly, Shadow Gallade's so glassy that they're probably just going to shield anyways, and here we can go for a Night Slash straight away, and it looks like we actually end up winning CMP and getting the boost, so at this point, we are definitely going to shield, probably going to double shield here, and commit to a full resisted counter farm down because a boosted Primeape, even up against Pokemon that do wall its energy, is still going to be very deadly. Now the opponent comes in with a Licky Tongue, so it might be double weak to fighting in the back, in which case that would be very good news for us because of course we've got 3 fighting types on the team. They're going to go for a Body Slam. That does take us out from this range, but that's absolutely fine. We're going to come in with the Mankey, get the full Karate Chop farm down, and let's see what the opponent has in the back. The opponent's going to come in with a Bastiodon, so this is incredibly good news for us. We're going straight for a Brick Break. Brick Break actually doesn't do too much damage there, but it drops their defense. We're constantly over-farming, making sure we've got enough energy. If the opponent does swap into their Gallade straight away, but we take out the Bastiodon there, we can now just go for Cross Chop number 2. Cross Chop will be taking out the Shadow Gallade, and we're able to take that game. So going into next battle, another Vigoroth in the lead, but once again the opponent's going to safe swap into something that does kind of beat the entire team, which is not ideal, but we're going to no-shield the first move, calling a bait, but the opponent goes and full sends the discharge. And at this point, I don't even know if we're going to make it to 2 Night Slashes here. We throw the first one, but unfortunately, the Volt Switch takes us out as we get to Night Slash number 2. So certainly not ideal, we lose Switch advantage. We're going to come back in with the Annihilate, and again, we're going to no-shield here. The opponent is again going to go for the discharge, so not great for us whatsoever. At this point, we are going to shield this. It looks like we're committing to a full counter farm down. I'm not sure about this play just because if we get so low that even Vigoroth can take us out, that's not going to be ideal. The opponent's going to come in with a Shadow Sableye, so going straight for the Night Slash. We now fire off the Shadow Ball, but the opponent makes the perfect catch there, swapping back into the Vigoroth, and now we have to swap into our Mankey. Of course, Mankey gonna win CMP here up against Vigoroth, which is fine, but it doesn't really matter. Sableye probably gonna be able to take us out with just Shadow Claw damage alone. We're going for the Brick Break, playing to our win condition, hoping the opponent is gonna shield, but they no shield. It doesn't really matter. Even a cross chop, if they shielded that, wouldn't take them out with the debuff, and we wouldn't get there anyway, so it doesn't really matter. That catch with the Shadow Ball onto the Vigoroth was a very nice play. But into next battle, we're going to say swap into Primate. I actually didn't see what they were leading with, but the opponent's going to respond with a Medicham, which is not ideal for us in the slightest. We do at least make it to back-to-back Night Slashes here, but the opponent might commit to a full counter farm down at this point, and they are going for that farm down. Not great for us, but Medicham typically not running Psychic this season, and even if they are, Annihilate should live a single Psychic, so we're going to no-shield the first move here. The opponent goes for Dynamic Punch. I don't know why they did that. That's very strange. Unless they're running Dynamic Punch and Power Punch, but that's definitely not the case as we've just seen an Ice Punch. So very strange play from the opponent. We're now going to go for a Night Slash here. We did farm up to a potential Shadow Ball and we grab a shield from the opponent. This time I'm going to throw another Night Slash straight away. This point probably not going to grab a shield. Actually, nope, never mind. We grab that shield from the Sableye, but this is still not a great position to be in. We're definitely going to have to shield here. Even resisted foul plays are going to do a ton of damage. We win CMP once again, going for that Cross Chop, and Cross Chop is going to be resisted by the Sableye. We shoot up the next foul play, and the opponent comes in with a Ferrothorn, so we're actually going to go for a Brick Break here. Brick Break is going to do less damage and cost more energy than a Cross Chop, but it does drop their defense, so hopefully that puts them into range where we can just counter, farm them down with the Annihilate. It's going to be close. We get that farm down, but unfortunately we've only left with a Night Slash loaded. Night Slash going to hit for neutral damage, but it doesn't quite take out the Sableye, and we do end up losing that game. But into the final battle of this video, leading Annihilate into a Poliwrath. So good lead matchup for us. The opponent swaps into a Sork, which is a very spicy Pokemon. Hopefully we do no-shield this because they're probably just going to run either Brick Break or Body Slam or both. And either way, they are both double resisted. At this point, we're going to no-shield once again. But honestly, with the double resisted damage, they've got us deep into the yellow health range, close to the red health range. We're going to swap into our Primate, and the opponent comes in with Alolan Muck. So going to overfarm here, throwing the Ice Punch, what looks to be on a CMP tie once again. Ice Punch is going to do some decent damage here. At this point, yeah, I don't really think there's any point in shielding. They go for Dark Pulse. They swap into their Poliwrath. At this point, going to fire off the Shadow Ball straight away. This is a little bit risky here, as the opponent is going to successfully shield the full nuke. We're going for Shadow Ball once again. If they double shield here, honestly, this is a scary position to be in, and now the opponent looks like they can fully counter farm us down, so we have to settle for a Night Slash. Not going to do much damage, as we've seen several times throughout the video. We're now going to come in with our Mankey, shielding up the Icy Wind, and honestly, it's not looking too good for us. I think with 2 debuffs to our attack, Cross Chop probably won't KO, but the opponent swaps into their Muck, and that does give us a lifeline, because now we can fire off the Cross Chop takes them out, and we're going to find out, does Cross Chop take him out with a double debuff? It actually does take out the Poliwrath anyway, so it didn't really matter, and we take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.